Welcome everyone. So in this session we are going to be modifying these walls here, and the first thing I notice is that somewhere back in the textbook or in our workflow I should be adjusting these walls so that their top constraint is attached to west roof. So I will select these walls around here and I am going to change their top constraint from unconnected to level west roof. And notice, of course, the elevation goes to 40 feet and it goes gray, meaning I can't change the number because I've attached it to a level. I click apply and these walls get a lot taller. So back to my drawing sheet, and notice now these walls go right up to west roof. That all makes sense. And I'm ready to do some wall modification. So I am supposed to select this wall, and as soon as I do, I can see a little grip here and a little grip down here. Maybe I could drag it up, but of course I don't want to because it's attached to this level. If I wanted to change now those wall heights, I would click into my level and say change the height of the level, and the walls would already adjust. So of course I'll hit Control Z and we can move on and start to modify this wall. So I'm going to select this wall, and notice I could hover anywhere over the face and click on it. It all turns blue and it's selected. The reason I can is that down here in my selection filters, I have unchecked this red X over what looks like a window pane. That window pane is giving me permission to either select an item by clicking on the surface or not selecting an item to be able to select an element by a face. So why am I able? Well, that's confusing. I'll be honest, I'm really confused as to why with this selection filter closed, I'm able to select a wall by its face. It's almost kind of frustrating. Well, I guess look down here. Without a surface pattern, I guess, a blank wall, notice I can't click on the wall. If I allow this filter to allow me to click on a wall by clicking on the face, notice the wall highlights instantly. So this filter is really nice to constantly turn on and off. Depending on whether I want to work on a surface, well then yeah, it'd be nice to be able to select by surface. Or potentially if I want to, only be able to select by lines. For instance, if I'm looking at a floor plan and I want to highlight chairs and tables, I don't want to be able to select by surface, because frequently I'll miss my click and the floor will select as opposed to the chair or the desk or whatever's there. Know again that we want to become familiar with these. So currently I'm going to turn this off, select my wall, and I want to do what's called edit this profile. So when I click this, right, my wall disappears and I get a magenta line. I drew the wall in a plan view looking down, but ultimately that wall has a height associated with it, and it had a start and a stop point associated with it. I'm going to create new start-stop points. And so what I'm going to do is probably, a bit dangerous, but I'm just going to draw some magenta lines and see how this works out. So I know that I want this brick wall to extend all the way across, and I want it to extend. I want it to come across, back up, and back around. That's what I want this wall to look like. So I'm just going to draw some lines here, right? And I'm snapping to the far edge of this wall. Then I go back up to my west roof. And my last line Actually, I'm just going to hit escape. So I've got two lines. So now what I want to do is create a profile that starts here, comes around, moves over, comes up, back over in one enclosed sketch. So to do that, I don't want this line to be as tall as it is, so I'm going to trim to a corner and trim right here. Notice that this became dashed and the magenta is down here. Let me think about this. Dashed line, I'm pretty sure is a grid. And now this line stops, and I have this vertical line over here. I'm going to trim that to a grid. And I have a single enclosed sketch. Okay, however, we are going to be told that this line here should be 2 feet below the corridor roof value. So I'm going to take this line and I'm just going to use my move command and come down 2 feet. Okay, so I believe that wall is correct. So I'm going to click OK. And I see that I've got this brick wall and it goes all the way over now. I do see what seems to be a bit of an overlap. This wall stops here. Oh, I see. Yeah, it just kind of comes over. So this wall comes over to meet. So let me check it in 3D. If I rotate around, it sort of looks okay, but I'm seeing an overlap there that I don't like. So I'm going to go back to my section view, and I think what I'm going to do is I guess I'll see if I can edit what I have done. Oh yeah, I guess those snaps didn't work too well. I snapped to something incorrectly. I'll just drag, in this case, I know I want my walls to butt up against each other, so I'll just drag it and drop it because I get a nice snap. Click OK, and my walls, I can see that they're in a correct spot. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is adjust this wall, and I could edit the profile, or I know I want this wall to come all the way up to and meet right here. And what's interesting is, notice, well, I guess this wall says up to level 2. I am going to make it unconnected, and then I'm simply going to drag it. I see up till I get a nice snap, and Revit seems to be freezing on me. So I'm going to pause this and either wait or there we go. Revit just stopped freezing. And I want to drag this up until I get this snap right there. And I guess, yeah, Revit's just going to take a while to get this done. But so there's the top of that wall. There's the bottom of the other. They're snapped and lined up. And notice that if I click on this wall, it says it's at 24 feet. And quite honestly, the textbook told us, I think, to edit this profile and make this line be 2 feet down from corridor roof, right? But it's a building. I know I want the walls closed up. So if the bottom of the brick wall is here, I need my interior wall to come up. So I've got that done. There is another way to do it, and I could drag this down, and I could come over here and say I want to connect it to the corridor roof, and I want a top offset from the corridor roof to be 2 feet below corridor roof, right? So that's where we drew the brick wall. So I can also, and by the way, this is what the textbook tells us to do, enter -2 feet, meaning the offset is 2 feet down from the corridor roof, and either press enter or click apply. And that wall drops down and the two walls meet correctly. So that takes care of adding that wall. Let's take a look in the text and see what's coming next. All right, so we have one more quick section view to create. I am going to create it, but I will do it under protest, and I'll explain here in a second. So I'm going to head back to my model level 1. And one of the key things that we need to understand is if I highlight this section view, construction documents can become extremely busy, and there's this hierarchy that we want to follow. Until we get into a more complex project, it's not so obvious. But when I create a section view, there is this option over here in the properties. And this option says that in any view, if my scale is more coarse than what's stated here, meaning like, 1/8 inch equals a foot or something like that, then that section view should not show up. Or, sorry, this section, I'll call it blade. As an example, if I head to level 2, I can see that section call out. My scale is 1/8 inch equals a foot. I'm going to modify that to 1 inch equals 10, and the section view disappears. The issue there is something that is very confusing, again, if we don't understand the workflow and move through a project a significant distance and then begin wondering where those section callouts are. So the section view kind of by default is taking on saying it won't show up in any view that's more coarse than this 1/8 inch equals a foot. So of course I'm going to come down here and change that 1 to 10 because a lot of my views are going to show up there. Click apply. And now this blade, if I navigate back to level 2, magically it's back, right? It's this blade is always visible in a view that has a scale of 1 inch equals 10 feet or more coarse. Okay, so let's continue on. So I'm here in my model master, actually it's level 2. So I'm going to get back to this level 1. See, it's in my modeling floor plans, kind of this master level 1. And I guess while I'm here, I can highlight that I can break this view. This is also in the text, and I will just kind of drag these two heads out of the way a little bit, leaving more room for dimensioning. And so we're going to create one more section view. So view, section view, and I can't remember whether this is a building section or a wall section. I'm just going to leave mine as building, and I'm going to want to come over here, and I'm going to, set this up. I only want to see just past this interior wall. And what's the next task? Well, I've got this section 1 again. So I'm going to rename this to whatever the textbook is going to ask me to call it, or something like that. And let's see, I don't see it. So yeah, I know I see it. So I'm going to rename it to West Wing South Wall section. Okay, so we're not going to use this section until chapter 4, but I have it. I've named it. Notice it's not on a drawing sheet. So I'm going to navigate, right? I get a chance to follow, right? This instructor guy put these sheets together. So here's sheet 405. I don't see what I need. And by the way, east-west entry, I think it's going to go on west wing, southeast, west corridor, corridor entry. I don't have it. So I'm going to assume I'm going to put it on this, let's see, west wing, southeast. Yeah, I'm assuming I'm going to put it on this 103.1. And so if I bring Revit back, I am going to navigate to my A103.1 sheet, and I'm going to drag my west wing south wall section on. And notice now, right, if I slide it up and down, because both views start at level 1, then actually it looks like my view title bars aligned. I'd prefer my level 1s to align, so I'm going to take this and drag it down and see if I drag my overall view up and down. And there it is, right? I get that building snap. Yeah, so I thought. Those levels still don't align. I'm not sure exactly what was snapping vertically. Yeah, I just don't see it. So when things don't work, right, we need to figure out how to make them work. So I am going to annotate, draw a line, and I'm just going to kind of draw it across. And then I'm going to take this view and I'm going to move the view actually from this point down to this line. It gets a nice clean snap, and I can delete that annotated line, and my views are lined up vertically. So that is an important way to do this. And by the way, I think my error was, notice the scales of the two views are different. I want the scales to be the same, so I will change this one to 1 inch equals 10 feet, click apply, and now when I drag this view up and down, I get a nice snap directly, and I can see the levels line up. And by the way, of course, the west walls end up at the same height as well. Okay, so I can't avoid it. I just tend to do a little more cleanup than I should. I'll move that view title bar down, move this one up a little, shorten this up so it's about the width of the building, shorten this one up a little. And I'll probably need to slide this to the right pretty significantly at some point. Doesn't matter. But in chapter 4, I'm going to need to go in here and create an opening in the brick wall. Okay, but I've created it, I've named it, and I've placed it on a sheet where it is going to go eventually, right? It helps me organize. All right, so I really need to close this section out, and we're going to come back and start to just create more and more section views.